Yo, what is going on, guys? Freaking Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that much more being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as earnings go for this entire week, there is really not too much going on that really piques my interest. Most of the tech earnings stocks are out of the way. The only one that could potentially be a play would be Oracle. I haven't looked at Oracle with the market selling off recently, so I don't know where that's currently at right now, and it's really not in my best interest to really look at it, just because currently right now with where we are at the market, there aren't that many clean levels. I want to say it's been a struggle. It has been a little bit more difficult to really trying to take advantage of some market moves. Sometimes you have to stay a little bit later just because that's when the market tends to sell off. Maybe we're just stuck in a zone for certain stocks. So it's really tough on trying to find intraday plays, and especially when intraday plays are a lot riskier than setups that you usually find pre-market, or setups that have been developing for a long time. So as far as any of the earning stocks go, there's really not too much that I'm really interested on. I mean, maybe DocU, Ulta usually has some crazy moves as well, and Oracle. Nothing too crazy, though, that I'm really keeping my eyes out for. Futu, shout out to Nor with the Moo sponsorship. They're reporting this week as well on Thursday before market open. So that is something to keep an eye out for as well. So not too much going on for earnings week. And of course, everyone's favorite part of what they are currently waiting on is the watch list. So first things first, you guys know I always like to talk about my indexes first because that gives us a bigger picture of what is currently going on. So if I go to ES here on the daily time frame, you can see that we have a gap over here starting at 56.70 and it ends around, what's the exact low? At around 56.41.50. So roughly a $30 gap here on futures with ES. NQ doesn't have it, only ES does. So you can see that we did bounce off this 56.70 support that I have on this. We are more than 100 points away. So with that in mind, we're pretty far away. Any kind of close below 5,700 is the first area I would keep an eye out for. Even 5,730. You can see that was a area of interest, which would be our support. And you can see that we broke below 2 days in a row, and then we ended up closing back above each single time. So the thing I'm looking forward to with ES is any close below 5730 first, and then 5700, and then 5670 with the gap we have below there on ES. No trend lines. That is pretty much all the levels that I have going forward. As far as the upside, though, there's really nothing that I have planned or that looks good to the upside. So pretty bland. Maybe above 5800 if we want to see some upside, or maybe even 5850. Just because that's an area that we struggled to close above this week as well. You can see past Tuesday. You can even use 5880. But for the meantime, I want to stick to what looks best. And a lot of the setups that I'm going to be mentioning on the watch list will be pretty far. And they have been developing for a little bit, but they will take some time developing this week. But you never know, right? With the market selling off really late into the days, you may get these setups later on. So who knows? Next up will be NQ. So if I go to NQ here without the platform lagging for once, if I go to the 4 hour here or even the daily chart, let's go to the daily first here for you guys. So you can see we had a trend line, talked about it last week, we ended up breaking it, and multiple times we had wicked below it, finally got a strong close, and then once we had the strong close below there, we ended up having a nasty wick here. So as far as levels go, it's kind of the same story with ES. I want a strong close below 20,000 first. After 20,000, 19,900 is an area of interest that I'm keeping an eye out for. After 19,900 is 19,700 is the next area of support that I'd be looking for NQ. As far as the upside goes, there really isn't too much going on. You can make an argument for maybe 20,700. What the heck? If this wants to work at least. There we go. You could make an argument for 20,700, even 20,300. If I go to the 1 hour here, it'll be a little bit more clear, but you can see what I'm talking about. 20,700, kind of a flat top from Tuesday, so kind of the same setup as ES is something that you keep an eye out for, or anything above 20,300. Since the past 2 days, we struggled to, even on Friday, we struggled to get above that. So you can see as far as playing the upside, it gets a little tricky because we've been in these areas for a while now, and it's starting to get a little bit choppy. So you want to be really careful as far as the intraday setups go and how they are going to develop. So first things first is, like I said, a lot of these setups are going to be far. I'm sorry, there really isn't too many setups that are close and that are really clean for me to mention to you guys. First one I will mention, though, will be Google. Google, obviously being far away, but with the right sentiment, if this is weak and it gets ahead of the market later on this week, this will be a really, really big setup. So I need you guys to be on tip-top shape, not blow your accounts or burn capital until this setup comes. Because like I said, with these kinds of weeks, with a lot of setups being far away and not having, and we can't really trade the intraday setups because it's really choppy, you want to conserve capital. You want to be careful. You want to trade. You just want to tread the waters pretty careful around these markets. So you want to wait for your perfect setup that you like executing to arrive. Once it arrives, execute at its best, and you're set for the week. So there's some people who trade one setup a week, and that's all they need, right? So as far as us scalpers go, our job is just to wait, take advantage of anything that looks good, and move on. So as far as Google here goes, though, I talked about this last week. 165 and then 164 would be the areas I'm looking at. This is a big setup. We haven't had a strong close below 165 in a while, and we did get close. I believe the low here was 165.50. 165.80, and then yeah, it looks like the low was 165.80. So we got pretty close here with that 165 level when the market decided to sell off. Google ended up coming back up, but I don't have anything to the upside for Google. You can make an argument for maybe 175, but like I said, when it comes to the upside movements or plays, they tend to get a little tricky just because of where things are at. So the best advice that I could give is just be ready with any kind of market sentiment divergence. So if your stock is really strong and the market's weak and it's selling off, that could be something you can take advantage of. As long as the levels make sense, as long as the consolidation makes sense, as long as your stock is doing all the right things, then you can take advantage of whatever setup your stock is doing. So Google, though, I'd be looking at 165 and 164. Next up is Teslito, everyone's favorite stock in the market. So if I go to the 4-hour here on Tesla, you can see that we have a 4-hour downtrend here. I don't know if I mentioned this one from last week, but you can see we break around 265. So we come up to the upside. If we happen to don't break it overnight into Monday pre-market, 265 could be something to take advantage of just because of this 4-hour downtrend that we have. If not, then the big setup that I have on Tesla would be at this level at 250. 250 just because it's psychological level. It's a point that everyone's going to be looking at for Tesla. So it's just something to keep in mind there on Tesla. Not a big setup, as it's not really like an actual setup yet, just because we've only had one bounce off of there. So there's really nothing there just yet on Tesla. But that is something to keep an eye out for to the upside and the downside. Next up is, and last but not least actually, is Meta. If I go to Meta here, obviously you guys know what level I'm going to be talking about, 600. So a lot of people would say, oh, 600 is not a good area because of how much we've messed around there in that area. Yes, but again, market sentiment and market divergence. If the setup makes sense and if Meta is really weak, like it has been, like a Friday sell-off that Meta had, obviously you can't just ride that as a scalper and just scalp that all day because a lot of the moves take time and it's just a slow grinder. And on a Friday, your premiums are just going to get killed. So you want to wait for the right setup. You want to wait for the right market divergence in sentiment. So this setup really depends on how Meta approaches 600. It is a pivotal point on the stock, so it is something that everyone will keep their eyes out for in stock hours. As far as the upside goes, we don't have anything though. So Meta 600 is pretty much all I have for this stock. So you can see a lot of the stocks that I did mention though are going to be the key setups that we focus on in the chat and look at every single day that we do best on. They are far. Like I said, I'm sorry, there really isn't too much going on that's really close. So I already gave you guys the handful bit of information that I could help you guys with as far as the week goes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video though. Hope you guys play safe in the market. And without much more being said, hope you guys take care. Peace out.